They are not quite dead and not quite alive. That is the first thought many people have when they stand before a bog body for the first time. Behind museum glass, under carefully controlled lights, the face stares back, lips parted, eyes half open or tightly shut, skin darkened but intact. The expression is unmistakable: fear, pain, shock, sometimes pleading, sometimes accusation. It feels wrong to look at them for too long, as though you are interrupting something unfinished. Bog bodies are among the most unsettling discoveries archaeology has ever made. Perfectly preserved human remains pulled from peat bogs across northern Europe, Denmark, Ireland, Germany, the Netherlands, Britain. Some are over 2,000 years old, yet their hair still clings to their skulls, fingernails remain, stubble shadows their jaws. In some cases, even stomach contents survive, the last meal frozen in time, but it is the faces that haunt us. Unlike skeletons, which allow emotional distance, bog bodies confront us with humanity intact. These people did not fade quietly into the earth. They were taken, stripped, bound, strangled, stabbed, drowned, sometimes all at once. And when the bog closed around them, it did not allow death to finish its work. Instead, it paused the moment, locked terror into flesh, and sealed it away for centuries. The bog does not rot, it remembers. The nature of the bog, peat bogs are not ordinary wetlands. They are acidic, low in oxygen, and rich in sphagnum moss, which releases compounds that tan human skin much like leather. Bone dissolves slowly, while soft tissue remains. Hair, skin, organs preserved not by dryness like a desert, nor by cold like ice, but by chemical suspension. To fall into a bog is not to sink quickly, it is to be held. The surface appears solid, deceptively green. Step onto it, and the ground yields slowly, pulling rather than swallowing. Victims struggle, but the bog resists violently. The more you fight, the deeper you are drawn. Ancient people knew this. They feared bogs, they revered them. And crucially, they used them. To the Iron Age mind, bogs were thresholds, neither land nor water, neither life nor death. A place where the human world touched the divine. A mouth that could carry offerings to the gods? And sometimes those offerings screamed. The Tollen man, peace and death, terror before. Discovered in Denmark in 1950, the Tollen man is one of the most famous bog bodies ever found. His face appears serene, eyes closed, mouth gently relaxed. A leather noose still circles his neck. He was hanged, carefully, deliberately, but this peaceful expression is deceptive. Modern forensic analysis suggests he was alive when he was placed in the bog. His tongue protruded slightly, consistent with strangulation. The noose was not a method of execution meant to kill quickly, it was a ritual instrument. The placement of his body, curled in a fetal position, suggests ceremony rather than disposal. And yet, if you look closely, peace gives way to something else. The muscles around the mouth strain unnaturally. The lips are not relaxed, they are fixed. The calm is not rest, it is paralysis, death interrupted. His final moments were not gentle. They were suspended. Faces that still react to other bog bodies are less ambiguous. The Grauble man, also found in Denmark, wears terror openly. His throat was slit ear to ear, severing the trachea. His mouth is open as if gasping. His eyes appear squeezed shut, brow furrowed. The skin of his face is so well preserved that individual wrinkles remain. He looks like someone caught mid-scream. Irish bog bodies often bear even more brutal signs. Old Croghan man was cut, stabbed, disemboweled, and then pinned down with hazel withies before being cast into the bog. His nipples were sliced, likely a symbolic act, as ancient Irish kings were ritually suckled as a sign of submission. To mutilate the nipples was to deny sovereignty. These were not random murders. They were public, ritualized deaths designed to be seen by gods, if not by people. Yet the bog took them before witnesses could fully fade. It locked the moment of suffering into muscle and skin. Visitors often describe the sensation that the faces are reacting to them, that the eyes follow, that the mouths almost move. It is not imagination alone. The bog preserves facial tension. Muscles do not fully relax. Expressions remain halfway between intention and collapse. The dead look unfinished because, in a sense, they are Sacrifice, not execution. For decades, archaeologists debated whether bog bodies were criminals or sacrifices. Were they punished or were they chosen? Evidence increasingly supports sacrifice. Many victims were physically healthy, well-fed, some bore manicured nails or carefully styled hair. Isotope analysis shows diets rich in protein prior to death. These were not outcasts, they were valuable. Some were kings. Ancient texts hint that when crops failed or plagues spread, leaders were offered to restore balance. The body of a ruler, given to the bog, symbolized the return of human authority to the earth, a contract renewed in blood and breath. This explains the multiplicity of injuries known as the triple death, strangulation, stabbing, and drowning combined. Each method may have appeased a different deity: sky, land, water. The screams were part of the offering. The sound the bog keeps no audio remains, of course. But many who work with bog bodies report something strange: the overwhelming sense of sound. Not imagined voices, but an emotional resonance pressure in the chest, ringing in the ears. Conservators describe working in silence yet feeling overwhelmed, as though standing too close to something loud. One museum curator described it as being near a scream you can't hear. Psychologists suggest this is an empathetic response to facial expressions locked in fear. Our brains read microtension, asymmetry, mouth position. We interpret terror instinctively. But there are stranger accounts. Peat cutters in Ireland have reported hearing cries when digging too deep, sounds quickly swallowed by the bog. Others claim to hear whispers near newly exposed remains, as if the earth were releasing something held too long. While such stories are dismissed officially, they recur with unsettling consistency. Perhaps the bog does not remember sound, but it remembers panic. The bog as witness. What makes bog bodies uniquely disturbing is not just preservation, it is confrontation. A skeleton is anonymous. A bog body is personal. You can see their hairline, their eyebrows, in some cases their eyelashes. You can see teeth clenched mid-expression. You can see lips pulled back from pain. You are not looking at history. You are looking at a moment that never resolved. In this sense, the bog becomes a witness. It observed the ritual. It accepted the offering. It kept the evidence. Some scholars suggest that this was intentional, that ancient people understood the bog's preservative power, that they knew sacrifice here would not disappear, but endure, a warning, a memory, a message to future generations. If so, the message has survived. When the bog gives them back, the most unsettling phase begins after discovery. Once removed from the bog, bodies often change rapidly. Skin shrinks. Features distort. Some expressions become more intense, not less. Conservators must act quickly to prevent collapse. This transformation has fueled eerie speculation that the bog is not merely preserving bodies, but holding them in a suspended state, and that removal allows death to resume. In several documented cases, museum staff reported that faces appeared more contorted days after excavation than at the moment of discovery. Whether this is dehydration or perception remains debated. But the impression persists. Death finishes its work only when the bog releases its grip. A death that refuses closure. Why do these faces disturb us so deeply? Because they deny us the comfort of completion. We expect death to end fear, to still the scream, to close the eyes. Bog bodies refuse all of this. They trap the moment of crossing, the instant between living terror and lifeless silence. They show us that death is not always a clean line. In ancient belief, sacrifice ensured renewal. The victim's suffering restored balance. But the bog preserved the suffering without the resolution. It gave us the cost without the reward. Standing before a bog body, one feels watched not by the dead, but by the moment they died. The last breath still held thousands of years later. The bog still exhales slowly. Peat forms at a rate of 1 millimeter a year, layering time like sedimented breath. Beneath the surface, more bodies wait, faces pressed into darkness. Expressions intact. They are not screaming anymore. They are still screaming. The bog simply refuses to let the sound escape. And when we uncover them, when we peel back the earth and meet their eyes, we become the final witnesses to a ritual that never truly ended.